Hello Synapse CI fans, my name is Rui Cunha and I'm a support escalation engineer on the Azure Synapse Analytics team. Welcome to this video series on Synapse CI/CD. In today's video, we will continue covering the custom parameterization of ARM templates. But this time, we will be showcasing a few scenarios where this parameterization can become more challenging. In case you missed our previous video on custom parameterization, please jump onto that video as it will help you to have a more clear understanding of this next demonstration. When you start working on a Git integrated workspace, you start by generating your ARM templates using the workspace built-in or default parameters template. At a later stage in your project, you notice that this default template is not generating all the properties that you need, and you end up by switching to your own custom parameters template. In some circumstances, this transition can be a game changer, as you might be generating the template properties differently from when you were using the default template. This next demo will show you how you can smooth this transition by providing some tips that you can implement in your custom parameter template. We will be helping you to customize this ARM template so you can overcome these challenges. We also have picked the lake database parameterization as another example of a challenging parameterization. So bear with us in our next demo. In today's video, I will cover two scenarios. One, I want to customize this parameter value when deploying to a target workspace. And a second scenario where I'm using a lake database and I want to override the table's storage settings here. And I need to customize these parameters to define the storage location for each table and for my lake database. So let's start with the pipelines. When you generate the ARM templates to the publish branch using the workspace default template, and if you go to the workspace publish branch and open the template parameters, you can see here this parameter name. Okay, that's the parameter that was generated by the workspace default template. So this parameter corresponds to this option here. Now, if you just rename this for now as default, you'll see that this parameter is being used here in the triggers payload. Let's put this scenario where in a later stage you decide to use a custom parameter template and you're going to use this template parameters definition. Let me just rename this back to the original name. So the publish operation can pick this template. And if you go here to the triggers parameterization, this is how I am parameterizing these properties, these trigger properties. Now, if I do here a minor change in the wait activity, for example, and for the save time, I am just committing directly in my main branch. I will publish my changes, and now the ARM templates will be generated using my custom template. So based on my parameters definition here, the ARM templates will be generated. Now that the ARM templates are being generated, I will go to my workspace publish branch and open the template parameters. Look now at the difference. If you look at the trigger, all the properties are here except the property that we wanted to parameterize, my parameter here. So we are missing this parameter right now. How can we parameterize this property here, the trigger parameter? Let's go to trigger. If you see here under parameters, I have my param, and this is the property that I want to expose. What we need to do is to check and validate the path for this variable, and this is under properties, pipelines, and look at the pipelines. This square bracket is telling us that this is an object. Okay, and then under pipelines we have the pipeline reference we don't want and the parameters here. So properties, pipelines, parameters. If we look at the parameter definition for the triggers, we have properties, but we then have type properties. So this is not the path that we are looking for. We should edit this, and under properties add a new path. I will add this code now. So under properties, I will add this pipeline. Let me just quickly format this. There you go. It's better now. So remember the path, properties. Now under properties we will have pipelines. Pipelines is an object, and then under this pipelines we have parameters, and with this star here I'm specifying here all parameters, no matter the name. I want to parameterize everything under the parameters property here. When I save this file and go back to Synapse, do a minor change here just to force a commit, and then republish my changes. So let's go to the workspace publish. So we have our default. Our default is this one, my param, with my pipeline name, parameters, and then my parameter name. Now the publishing is completed. There you go. Refreshing now. The parameters have been updated, and here it is, my parameter. The parameter name here in the default is the trigger name, and then properties, the pipeline name, parameters. So let me copy, and let's go to the new file and see the difference here. So we have trigger name, properties, and now instead of the pipeline name, I have the index position here, 0. So we are missing here the pipeline name. We need to generate the parameter the same way that the default workspace template is doing. So what we need to do is to grab the pipeline name. So where is the pipeline name? And if we go here to triggers, this property pipeline reference name, we should grab this value here, my pipeline, instead of 0, the index. If we switch back to the main branch and go to the template parameters definition, what we need to do is to go to the triggers, and then in the parameters we can type the pipeline reference dot reference name. Hold on, I missed this. This is not here. It's here. My bad. Let me just commit. And if we go here again to the pipelines parameters, we will see here trigger that the reference name, pipeline reference name, belongs to the pipeline. Okay, so this is why we are adding this value here to the pipelines. Now back to the workspace. A minor change just to force a commit and publish my changes. Hit OK. Publishing completed, and now template parameters for workspace is being updated. And let's check our trigger property. Here it is. We don't have the 0 index number, but instead the pipeline name. Now we are able to generate this parameter the same way that the default workspace template did here. When you want to parameterize lake databases, is that all the properties are under this object here, DDLS. Okay, so this is an object, and you see all the entities, all tables and columns, all the properties exist under this DDLS object. What we need to do here to parameterize the lake databases is to grab this code here, add it to the template parameters definition. Let me edit this file and put it down here. Okay. So I'm configuring here the databases, all artifacts of type databases, under the properties, under the DLS, then I have under the new entity, the lake database location, the linked service being used, the storage descriptor for all tables, the location, linked service being used by each table. Now if you commit here, let's see the new entity and storage descriptor. If we go to the workspace publish and look for databases, under new entity, the source corresponds to the lake database storage settings. Source, location, properties, these will be the settings for the lake database tables. We have two kinds of parameterization, one for the database itself, the generic settings, and another parameterization for each table. Let me just rename this. This will be the parameterization for my trigger. This is an example for my trigger, and I will generate now the template parameters, adding this parameterization for the lake databases. Again, I will change this to force this commit, and I will publish my changes. let's take a closer look at the definition file. What we are doing here is to rename this parameter location under the new entity source. We will name this as LakeDB location, and the linked service name will be the LakeDB linked service name. Now, under the storage descriptor, we will keep the location property with the default value. We will not rename this parameter, and we will not rename the linked service parameter as well, and we will keep the default value. So only the database location and the linked service location will be renamed here. And what we are doing here, we are simply parameterizing. This will generate the templates. We will be parameterizing this options here, storage settings for the database, and the other options is to parameterize the storage settings for the table. We haven't checked this because in case you want to use a different linked service, a different input folder for any of your tables, you can uncheck this box. These storage settings will not be inherited from the Lake database. Back to our template file, it's been generated already, and let's take a look now at the template parameters and scroll down to my Lake database. LakeDB location, LakeDB linked service name. These were the parameters here. LakeDB location, LakeDB linked service name. All good. So those parameters, they correspond to the Lake database. We have two tables. I have my Lake database, now properties, and here it comes that index, because we are talking about an object, the DDLS. We want to generate this parameter without the index position. We want to use the table name instead. How can we do that? How can we get the table name from the JSON payload that corresponds to the database? You will see that the table names, they are under this new entity name, and these properties here, they belong to the DDLS object. So what we need to do now is to go to our template parameters definition, edit, and under, let me see here, DDLS, we will type new entity dot name. So instead of the index position, for each position of this object, I want the index position to be replaced by my entity name. Now I will commit this. I will go to make some minor changes here just to force a commit again. And we will generate now these files. Let's go to the workspace publish. So what we want to do here is to replace this. This is our goal. Let's wait for the, and let's go now to the workspace, publish, Okay, just now, all good. And scrolling down, and here it is. Table 1, new entity, table 1, linked service name, source location, table 2, table 2. Okay. And with this approach here, by using these references in your JSON payload, you can rename the artifacts properties. So this is a way to customize your template parameters definition file using this syntax. Let us know your thoughts and share your ideas, tips and tricks in the comments below. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.